So I'll take a class today on environment health, and we will talk about what do you mean by environmental sanitation, which is a very important part of our health, okay, in which it really helps in maintaining the health of the people, especially in the community and all, okay. So today I will give you a brief concept about what do you mean by environmental health, what is environmental hygiene. So I'll be sharing my slides now. Okay, is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, ma'am.
We'll talk today on a very important topic that is on environmental sanitation. Okay, so just remember whenever we talk about environmental sanitation, it involves like in how we maintain the environment around us, be it your physical environment, okay, like a physical surrounding in which related to the water, air, or it can be a physical environment, it can be a biological environment. Whenever we say biological, it means all those animals, plants, okay, rodents, insects, all the living things which surrounds man, okay. Then as well as a social means it comes all your social customs, cultures, and all those, okay. So because all these directly or indirectly they are affecting our health, okay. So as you all know, everyone, I think you are aware, especially if we talk about in a country like India. Okay, so as you can see, so many people are not maintaining a very good physical cleanliness of their environment, and cleanliness actually it is very important aspect because, as you all know, if you are living in a place which is very like unhygienic, like not clean, you are not drinking safe water, you are breathing in a very impure air. So you are prone to so many types of communicables as well as non-communicable disease. Okay. So in today's we will talk about environmental sanitation. Okay. So before directly going to the topic,
Yes, ma'am.
let me just briefly tell you what we mean by environment. Okay, so whenever we say environment, that means it implies all the external factors. So whatever it surrounds human being, be it your physical environment, be it your biological environment, that it means it includes both your living and non-living. Okay, so whenever we say non-living, it means all your air, water, soil, okay, noise, all these actually it affects our health. Then whenever we say living, that means it come here the plants, the microbes, the virus, bacteria, okay, insects, rodents. So all this comes under the living, material and non-material, okay. So all this, whatever surrounds man, that it contains our environment, okay. So environment is very vast, if you say in a sense, because so many things are there, whatever it is outside us, surrounding us, that is called environment, and all whatever is there around us, okay, all this it really have a very important role in our health, okay. So that's why controlling our environment health is very important. So it will really help us to have a very healthy, to improve our health as a human being, as well as it also helps to improve our quality of life, okay. So next we will see what are the three main components I have also briefly said. So we have the physical environment, which includes your water, air, soil, housing, okay, waste, radiation, so all those, okay, which surrounds human being, or it can be chemical also, okay. So whenever we say biologic, that means these are all the living things, which includes your plants, animals, bacteria, virus, insects, rodents, okay. So all this include the biologic environment. And the social environments, that means it includes your cultures, your customs, the habits, okay, because everything actually, even your eating habit or lifestyle, so this actually, our culture, it is the one which really help and in maintaining this one, all our lifestyle and all, because based on our culture we learn how to, like, what type of food we should eat, what type of lifestyle we should have, okay. So our culture really teach us so many good as well as some are good. We cannot just say all, okay. So some are good as well as some are bad for our health, okay. So our cultures also really really influence our health as well as our lifestyle, okay. That income, occupation, religion, okay. And all these actually they are very important aspects which really influence our health or determines our health, okay. Even I think you have learned in the uh, fundamental of nursing also, where we have learned about what are the various factors which determines health. So even all these also, they are all the environmental factors which really influence or determines our health. So next we will see what do you mean by environmental sanitation. So sanitation is like something which we are trying to maintain the environment. We'll try to keep it clean, okay? Be it your surrounding, be it the water that we drink, be it the noise, okay? Controlling the noise pollution, breathing a clean air, okay? Then disposing our waste properly, then having a very good housing with adequate ventilation, then the way we have disposal of human excreta, okay? So all these actually comes when we talk about environmental sanitation, okay? So the dictionary meaning of sanitation, what does it say? It says sanitation is a way of life and it is expressed in a clean home, okay? First, everything should start from our own home, okay? So we should have a clean house, a clean farm, if you're having a clean business, clean neighborhood, clean community, okay? So because as we all know, there are so many diseases which are really related to hygiene, okay? Be it your, because as you all are aware, like if there are too many breeding areas around our house, then we are prone to so many, it acts as a very good area for the mosquito to breed, right? And because of that, we might be, so many mosquitoes will be there surrounding us, and we might be prone to so many mosquito-borne disease, be it your dengue, be it your malaria, okay? So that's why, in this sense, we can understand like how controlling our environment is very important aspects where we can improve our health, okay? And it must come from within the people. So like I've said, everything should start from the home. Nobody, because when the people only work together, then only they'll be able to do it. The government alone cannot do anything, okay? So everything should start from your own will, okay? So if you take the initiative to clean, you keep your house clean, to keep your community clean, then who will be benefited? Obviously the people living there, only they'll be benefited, right? So everything should comes from within the people, and an obligation and an ideal in human relations. So whenever we are surrounding in a clean environment, in a clean surrounding, so we feels good. It also improves, we feels good to live in that type of environment. It improves our health, okay? So this is what, in general, what does it mean by sanitation, okay? Sanitation means keeping everything around us clean and healthy. So according to World Health Organizations, so they have given a definition on environmental sanitation, which says that it is defined as the control of all those factors in man's physical environment, okay, which exercise or may exercise a deleterious effect on his physical development, health, and survival, okay. So like I've said, controlling of all those factors means we'll try to keep our surrounding clean, we'll try to um, we'll try to maintain everything clean around us. Whatever water we are drinking, we should take clean water. We'll try to purify it. We'll drink clean one. We'll dispose our waste properly, okay? Then we'll discourage people from doing any form of open field defecation. Then we'll try to improve them or encourage them to go for this one, proper sanitary latrine, okay, using of proper sanitary latrine. So by doing all this, what we are doing, we are trying to control, because as we all know from all the environment, so many communicable disease can be spread. Suppose if a person's do open field defecation, okay, in the, so because of that open field application, what happened? So many disease it can spread from there, because especially if they're doing near the river areas and all those, so from there it might, because of that it can cause so many waterborne disease, and so many communicable disease also can be spread from there, okay? So like this, we are trying to control all those factors, or we are trying to discouraging all those, okay, whatever elements it is in our environment, we are trying to control them so that it will improve our health, okay? So that is what it means, environmental sanitation. So just in simple meanings, that means we are trying to keep everything clean, okay? So what are the main importance, okay? Obviously, the first main important thing why we do environmental sanitation is to improve our health or to promote our health, okay? The second, it says to prevent this disease transmission. Okay, so we are, because by keeping everything clean, okay, we are trying to break down the chain of transmission. Okay, so by doing that, we are breaking the transmission chain of any disease, especially a communicable disease. Okay, to improve the quality of life of the people. Then next, what does it says? To eliminate the breeding place of insects and rodents that may be a carrier of many communicable disease. Okay, especially your mosquito. Okay, so mosquito is a very, and rodents, when you talk about rodents, okay, so because of that, it might, so many communicable disease, it might be spread from them like plague and all, okay? So by keeping everything clean, so we are eliminating all those breeding areas for all these insects or mosquitoes, as well as rodents. To eliminate the global burden of disease caused due to poor hygiene, okay, unsafe water, polluted air, soils, poor housing, improper disposal of waste, and human excreta. Okay, so this is why we need environmental sanitation. Okay, so this is what is environmental sanitation and what is the main importance or why we need to keep our environment clean. Okay, so next we'll be seeing what are the main components of environmental sanitation. So this also, like briefly, I think I have mentioned. So whenever we talk about environmental sanitation means, what does it include? It includes, first is the water. Okay, so water sanitation, then air sanitation, so ventilation, noise, lighting, disposal of refuse. That means your refuse disposal. Okay, it can be in a home or even outside industries and all. Disposal of excreta. Okay, housing, vector, and rodent control. Okay, so by doing all this, we are trying to control all the physical environment surrounding. So we are trying to keep everything clean, or we're trying to keep everything healthy. Okay, so are you all clear with this till now? Environmental sanitation.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so
Yes,
this is
ma'am.
very important because especially what happened when you now you'll be later on you'll be going for your community posting, na? So when you go for your community posting, so if you see like if any of the family if they are living in a very unhygienic environment and also you can give them some simple health talk, okay, like how they should, what type of how they'll clean, what type of water they should drink, how they have to maintain the physical environment. Okay, so all these aspects are very important for our health. Okay, so next we will see with the first one. Okay, like I've already mentioned, these are the main important components of environmental sanitation. So each one of this we'll discuss one by one. Okay, so we'll start with the first one, that is water. Okay, so we'll start with the first one, that is called water sanitation. So as you all know, water is very important for our daily human survival. Yes or no? Without water, we cannot survive. So normally, an individual like a normal human being, how much liter of water is required daily? How much? What is the amount of water that we should drink in a day?
6 to 7 liters.
Six, 6 liters. Six is too much. Okay,
8,
actually,
ma'am. I think.
2 to 3 liters.
yes, it's 2 to 3 liters. But like if you say it in general, mostly, so in general, we can say it is 2 liters. Okay, so at least minimum of 2 liters, but per day we can take 2 to 3. Okay, so you know that, and not only that, even for anything, even for our physical needs, everything, be it bathing, cooking, so everywhere we need water, right? So water is a very important part of our life. Without water, we cannot survive. Okay, and so that's why controlling and maintaining the cleanliness of the water is very important. Since it is a very important part for our human survival, so we need to keep it clean. We need to make sure whatever we are taking, especially drinking water, we should take clean water, which is safe, okay, which is free from any kind of organism. So that is the main reason we always advise people, okay, not to directly drink water. They should at least boil it, or if they have a filter. Nowadays everyone, okay, they used to have aquaguard and all. So why we are telling those? Because it has been seen that so many waterborne disease are there. If you are not maintaining or drinking safe water, so you might be prone to so many waterborne diseases, like especially the most common is your diarrhea, cholera and all. Okay, so that's why drinking a very safe and wholesome water is very important. Okay, so it has been seen that lack of safe drinking water has been associated with many ill health. Okay, and it has been estimated that about 50% of the illness in our country, okay, it can be cut down if we provide the people with safe and adequate drinking water. Okay, so that is the main reason that why we have to mainly focus on water sanitation, because it is a very important aspect for survival. Okay, and so what do we mean by safe and wholesome water? Okay, so when we say about when we say or when we talk about safe and wholesome water, what does it mean? So it is defined as water which is free from pathogenic agents. So whenever we say pathogenic agents, that means it can be it can be a virus, it can be a bacteria, okay, or it can be fungi and all those pathogens. Okay, so first it should be free from the pathogen. The second, it should be free from any harmful chemicals. Okay, so there should not be any form of harmful chemicals which might be toxic, okay, for ingestion. Then, and it should be pleasant to the taste, okay? Then it should be free from any color and odor. So normally, you know, everyone knows water, it is usually, it is plain, okay, doesn't have any color, okay? So the water, it should be clear, okay? All those quality it should have. And it should be usable for domestic purposes, okay? So whenever we say domestic purposes, it means it can include your for cooking, for bathing, okay, for drinking, okay. So all those are called as a domestic use. So if it maintains all these criteria, then we can consider that water as a safe and wholesome water, okay. Then when do we call a water as a polluted water? So a polluted water, when it does not fulfill the above criteria, that means suppose if it have any form of microorganism is there, or if it's tastes very different, bitter, okay, and if the color is not clear, is not, then if all this criteria, if it does not fulfill, then we call it as a polluted or contaminated water, okay. So the water requirement, okay, physiologically requirements of drinking water for just for survival, at least we need 2 liters per day, okay. And for normally for using like that, we need 150 to 200 liters per capita per day. That means per person, we need 150 to 200 liters per individual, because in a day we need for cooking, we need for bathing, especially for bathing, then for washing clothes and all, okay. So that's why we need this much amount of water. This is in the urban areas, and in the rural areas it is 40 liters per capita per day, okay. And sometimes the water requirements is also, again, it might be more or it can be less depending on our daily requirements or daily needs, okay. So it depends on individual to individual how we use water, but as far as we can, we should always try to conserve water, okay. We should not waste any unnecessarily wasting of water, so all those should be avoided, okay. So the next is we'll see what are the uses of water. So first is domestic use, okay. Domestic use is where we use it in a house setting, like cleaning our house, then bathing, cooking, okay, washing our clothes. So all those comes under your domestic use. Public use, we suppose when we use it for any cleaning the public road, making the public construction, for firefighting people, okay. So all those comes under your public use, okay. Any construction around the public areas, public places. So those come under public use. Then industrial use. So that means whatever water that is needed for the industrial purpose, okay. So all those come under industrial use. Then agriculture use, the water we use for, we need for irrigation, for farming, okay. All those comes under agricultural use. And power production. So these are the main ways how we usually use water, okay. So what are the sources of water supply? Actually, we have three main sources, okay. So the first important one is the rain, okay. That's why only every time we used to, so the saving of rainwater is very important, because it is actually the rainwater is the main source of water for survival, okay. So, and the second is the surface water. Then under surface water also we have the artificial lakes, rivers, ponds and tanks. Surface water, it actually, what is it? It is actually the rainwater. When the rainwater, okay, when after it stops raining, right? So those rainwater, some rainwater might be there on the surface itself, okay? So it gets collected. So that is called as a surface water. Then the next third main source is called the groundwater. So this groundwater also, what happened, this is also the rainwater which sinks inside into the ground. So when it sinks inside, then it becomes the groundwater, okay. So under the groundwater also we have usually two types which we use, wells and springs, okay. So actually wells is the most commonly used in our country, okay, especially in the villages and towns, okay. People mostly, the main source of water that they use is wells, okay. So let's see one by one. Okay, so we'll see with the first one, it is a rainwater. Okay, so the rain actually, it is a prime source of all water. Okay, so everything we get mostly it is from the rainwater. So be it the surface water or the groundwater. Surface water is also the rainwater only, which is being held or collected on the surface, and the groundwater is also the rainwater which sinks inside the ground, okay. So it is the purest in nature, and it is clear, bright and sparkling, and it is very soft water containing only traces of dissolved solids, corrosive action or lead pipes, and it is mostly free from pathogenic agents, okay. So when it can be impure, sometimes what happens, it becomes impure when it get mixed with some form of chemicals, okay, or even like sulfuric acid. If then it I think you must have heard of acid rain. Yes, acid rain, it is very harmful and it can even cause like building destruction and all those. Okay, so whenever the rain, if it gets diluted with all the sulfuric acid or nitric acid, then it becomes impure. But usually, normally, rainwater, they are very pure, and it is mostly free from any form of pathogenic agents. Okay. So the second is a surface water. Like I've said, whenever the rainwater it reaches the surface, it is called as a surface water, as you can see from the even from the figure itself, right? So whenever that rainwater gets collected on the surface, then we call it as a surface water. Contamination from human and animal sources is very high because obviously there is no, it is on the surface, and there's high chance that those water it gets very easily it gets contaminated, be it from animal sources. Okay, suppose if someone do any form of cleaning, bathing there, they okay, or they are defecating there, so that it acts as a contamination to the surface water. And also there's very high probability of organic, bacterial, and viral contamination. Okay, so if you want to use this type of surface water, first you need to do some form of treatment. Okay, that means you have to purify it, you have to clean it properly, then only you can use. Okay, and the surface water, we have two types. We have the artificial lakes, sorry, three types: artificial lakes, the rivers, and the tanks. Okay, so we'll see with the first one, that is called the artificial lakes. So these type of artificial lakes, actually, they are usually constructed in very upland areas. Okay, and it is also called as impounding reservoirs. Why we call it as impounding reservoirs? Because as you can see, it is being constructed in such a way that whatever rainwater that is being from the up, na, so the rainwater will be collected down, or in a catchment area. Catchment area is that area where all the water will be collected there. Okay, so that is called as a catchment area. The area draining into the reservoir is called as a catchment area, as you can see from the diagram. Okay, so whatever rainwater it is, so it will flow, and it will be kept, or it will be collected in a catchment area. Okay, so in a catchment area, whatever water flows, so it will be preserved there. The water usually it is of good quality, but still it requires purification. Okay, so you cannot directly use. You have to give it some form of treatment. Either you can use chlorine, okay, for cleaning, or for disinfecting, or sometimes we also use this. We have to filter it before using. The second is the rivers. Okay, rivers are a very important source of water supply, but actually what happened, the main problem is that it is always polluted. Okay, so and it is also very quite unfit for drinking without any form of treatment. So what are the main sources of pollution in the rivers? Are actually because of surface washing. Some people, they go and wash their clothes there. Sewage water, okay, some water comes from the drain, all those will be drain out into the rivers, okay, which makes it contaminated. Industrial and surface waste, all also they usually sometimes they dump all their waste products in the rivers. Then bathing, defecation, okay, and even drainage from agricultural areas. So all these criteria, actually, all these sources, it makes the rivers water very polluted and almost very unsafe for use. Okay, so if you are planning to use this, so it needs very proper treatment with that only, and purification, that then only you'll be able to use this reverse water. Okay, the next is the tanks. Okay, tanks is last excavation is like you can see from the diagram itself, they will dig. Okay, so they will dig the soil, and in that only the water will be collected. Okay, important source of water supply, especially in some Indian villages. Okay, so it acts as a main source of their water. So this tank water also, how it is collected, whenever it rains, so all the rainwater will be collected there. So they will first, from before only, they will dig that hole. Okay, then after that, whatever rainwater comes, so all those will be collected there. Okay, that is called as the tanks. And unlimited possibilities of contamination, and they are very quite highly dangerous. Almost all the surface water, like I've said, because of very high exposure to human as well as animals contaminations, so they are quite not pure, and they are quite unfit for use without any proper treatment. Okay, so the next is how we can improve the tank. Okay, so how can we improve the condition if you want to keep it clean or safe for use? So first of all, the edges of the tank should be elevated, as you can see. Okay, so from the diagram, so we can keep the elevated edges very elevated. Okay, so in that ways we can avoid any form of contamination. Okay, especially the fence. Okay, so the fence, we can increase the edges of the fence. No one should be permitted to get into the tank directly. Okay, so we can elevate the platform, and we can clean at the end of the dry season. Okay, so we can clean it properly. Then the simplest solution is we can do some form of sand filtration. Okay, so sand filtration also, actually this sand actually, it acts as a filter. So it is also commonly types of filtration. Okay, this sand filtration you'll be learning more in details when somebody will do seminars on water pollution, right? So in that water pollution also, she'll be telling about what are the various forms of water purification. And actually, sand filtration is also a very important types of filtration which we use to purify the water. Okay, even at home, we can use it for purifying water. So this is how we can improve the tank. Okay, so by making it in this way, as it's shown in the diagram, so it really helps in preventing the tanks from any form of contamination, be it human or animal contamination. Okay, so the next is the groundwater. So when the rainwater sinks into the ground, it becomes the groundwater. Okay, and this water, it gets purified by percolation, and the main advantages is that it is very superior to surface water, because actually this all those these groundwater, mostly they are all inside. Okay, and they have a very less chance of being contaminated from any human or animal source, and mostly they are free from any form of pathogenic organism. Okay, then the supply is usually even in the summer season. So we have adequate supply of groundwater. Okay, so and on the groundwater, so what are the disadvantages is that the water is usually harder than the surface water as compared, and it requires pumping. Obviously, we need to pump it, then only we'll be able to lift the water and use it. And under the groundwater, so we have two types. We have the wells and the springs. So wells are what, actually, I think everyone also, any one of you in your home, I think some of you might have, right, wells. So actually these wells, they are the main source of water supply in most of the Indian villages and towns. Okay, so wells also, it is divided into two types. We have the shallow wells and the deep wells. Okay, so what are shallow wells? Okay, a shallow well, it is one which taps the subsoil water, that is the water from above the first impervious layer. If you can see from the diagram itself, the shallow well, it is dug only up to the porous strata. Okay, and it can be 10 feet, or it can be even up to 30 to 50 feet. Okay, that is 10 to 15 meters. And it is usually unsafe for drinking unless it is purified, because it is not that deep. Okay, so there is high chance of this well, type of well, being contaminated. Okay, especially if somebody, if they take bath near the well, if they don't, okay, if they wash their clothes near the well. Okay, so it might cause some form of contamination. Most of the well in India are shallow types. Okay, then the next is the deep well. So the deep well, it is usually one which penetrate the first impervious layer. If you can see in the diagram itself, it is shown. So the deep well, it goes down below the impervious strata or the impervious layer, and the shallow well, it goes above. So that is the main difference. So shallow, it will be above the impervious strata, and the deep well, it will be below the impervious strata. Okay, and it is supplies the purest water than the shallow wells, because it is usually very deep and free from any form of contamination. Okay, it can be a health hazard if not properly constructed, or it can be also protect from contamination. Obviously, if it is not properly constructed, if anyone fell down inside the well, it might cause serious injuries or even, okay, so that's why it should be properly constructed. Proper fencing should be there. Okay, so it's very important, especially for children, you know. Okay, so this is actually what is the main difference between the shallow well and the deep well. Okay, so the shallow well, it is above the impervious layer, and the deep well, it is below the first impervious layer. Okay, the chemical quality of shallow well, they are moderately, they are very hard, and deep wells, they are much harder as compared to the shallow wells. Okay, and if you talk about the bacteriological quality, so the shallow well, they have some form of because they are often grossly contaminated, and the deep wells, they are very, okay, mostly they are purer water. And this shallow well, it is mostly we can get it during summer, but in deep wells we get a constant supply of deep wells. Okay, So this is actually what is an artesian wells. Okay, artesian well is also this, as you can see from the diagram. So it is a kind of deep wells only. The water rises above the ground. It is held under pressure. So this is as you can see from the diagram, that is an artesian wells. And artesian wells, these are not very common in our country. Okay, so mostly we have the shallow well and the deep wells, different form. So next is a sanitary well. Okay, so what is a sanitary well? A sanitary well, actually it is a very type of well which is properly located. It is well constructed, if you can see from the diagram. With it has a proper cover, it has a pump, okay, it has a drainage channel. So whatever, if you use water there, then all the water will be drained out properly. It is protected from any form of contamination. It intended to supply a very safe and a wholesome water. Okay, so it has a, so this is a sanitary well. Then a tube well, it consists of a pipe sunk into the water-bearing stratum and fitted with a strainer at the bottom and a hand pump at the top. If you can see from the diagram, it lasts for a period of 5 to 10 years and it is free from any form of pathogens and it is quite cheap. Okay, so under this tube well also we have two types. We have a shallow tube well and a driven wells. So what is a shallow tube well? So this is, if you remember in the, this is also similar. So in a shallow tube well, so the well will be dug up to the, this one, above the impervious stratum. And if you talk about deep tube well, so the water will be dug below the first impervious layer, okay? And drilling through successive substrata until the water is liquid. So this is actually, it is almost similar to the wells, okay? So tube wells also, here also, whenever we say shallow, that means it is above the impervious strata. And if we say tube well, okay, deep tube well, that means it will be below the first impervious strata. Okay, so the last one which we'll see is a spring. Okay, so spring, actually what is this? These are the ground waters that appears at the surface due to certain favorable formations of the layers of the ground. Okay, and usually springs, we also have this shallow springs, deep springs, mineral springs, okay, and hot or thermal springs. Okay, hot or thermal spring. So these are actually what is it about the spring. So actually, so this is about what is water. Okay, so and after this, what happened? What is pollution and all those? So since it has already been given in seminar, so that's why I'm not going to discuss. So what is water pollution? What are the different methods of water purification? Okay, so all this when, okay, so it will be done in the seminar. Okay, so are you all clear with this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Actually, from this, the most important is your water pollution. Okay, which will be done in some. I think someone of you have, I have given seminar to someone. Okay, so water pollution. So it is very important. So when in water pollution, so we will, it will, like, we should discuss about what are the effects of water pollution, what are the types of waterborne disease. Okay, then the purification of water. All those are important. So this, I have given a brief aspects of what is water. Okay, and what are the main uses of water and what are the main sources of water. Okay, so I hope everyone is clear.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
for further details, you all can refer your KPARK book. Okay, if you have bought the book. Okay, nobody have any question? We still have 3 minutes. If anyone have questions, you can ask. Yes, everyone is clear? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so on the next class, I will see with the different types of environmental sanitation. Okay, so next, I think I'll talk about air, and under that, we will see about air pollution. Okay, what are the ways to control air pollution and all those. Okay, fine. Okay, then I'll wind up the class. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Well,